Good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Doug. How are you? Larry Latham.
Well, Larry, it's great to hear your voice, and I was introducing you a little bit. I think you're in Phoenix right now. Is that correct?
I am, yeah. Beautiful weather here in Phoenix this morning.
Well, very good. 3 hours different, so it's a little earlier there today. I introduced you as basically a visionary for the auction industry. You are from Las Vegas, and you know the Las Vegas market very well. Um, you've got a radio pass. Is that correct?
I started in radio when I was in high school and enjoyed it all the way through college.
And where was that?
Well, originally, I didn't grow up in Las Vegas. I grew up in Alabama, North Alabama,
Okay.
and went to the University of Alabama and worked at radio stations, my hometown, worked at radio stations in Muscle Shoals and Huntsville and in Tuscaloosa, Alabama when I was going to college. So I enjoyed that tremendously.
Well, very, very good. We talked earlier about what we're going to talk about on the show. And again, you're a friend, and again, I'm going to say you were a visionary of the auction industry. You have so many firsts and the beginnings of the auction industry. Tell us what you're doing right now, because you just became inducted to the National Auctioneers Hall of Fame. Tell us a little bit about the auction industry right now. What do you think the future holds, and give us a little bit background about the NAA.
Well, I have to tell you, being inducted into the National Auctioneers Hall of Fame is fantastic. I mean, it's a feeling of a lifetime. And the way they do it, you don't know that you're going to be inducted until dinner happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's about 1,000 people in the room, and all of a sudden your name's called out, and so it's quite exciting. As far as what's happening right now, Doug, it's an amazing market out there. What we have going on is 10 times bigger than what happened in the 80s and 90s with the FSLIC and the FDIC.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. It's huge, but not a lot of stuff seems to be selling. It's all seems to, the banks are kind of holding back a bit. As far as, this is interesting. I saw the other day, I was watching CNN, and the little part that goes underneath the news, the ticker tape.
Right.
And it said that 1 in 3 homeowners could be in default within the next 24 months. Now, to me, that's an unrealistic number, crazy number, but it was right on TV.
Wow.
I can tell you this, in the Las Vegas market, which is now the worst market in the entire country, you're looking at probably 1 in 6 in that city that's in some sort of a default. There's already been over 2 million properties foreclosed on just within the last 3 years. Probably about 2.9 million would be a better number. Another 2 million in the process. And now then some of the economists say there could be another 3 million. So if you're looking at that kind of a foreclosure rate in this country on single family, you're looking at 10 million, somewhere between 7 and 10 million. Well, there's only about 72 million single family homes in the country, so you're talking about 1 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the real figure. The real figure is more like 55 million people have a mortgage. And out of the 55 million people have a mortgage, 7 to 10,000 are going to be in default. To me, that's amazing.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Let's talk a little bit about the past, and I mentioned that you were first in so many areas. You were first in. You were one of the first to do HUD auctions. Is that correct? And VA auctions and Fannie Mae auctions and Freddie Mac auctions. I mean, you are an icon in the business, and just amazing. I've got a couple first in the FDIC, but you just it pales into what you've done, and I'm just in awe of your past. Tell us about home bid, because internet bidding seems to be the rage today, and I'd like to ask you why, and also tell us about home bid and when you started that.
Well, that takes us back a few years.
Yep.
1997. We were tasked with selling financial instruments from a company in New York, and the FDIC, and also the RTC at that point in time. And really, there was not a good way to do it. The Internet didn't exist in about 1995 to have the ability to actually sell those over the Internet. So we went to Cantor Fitzgerald, and we sold them over Telerate. And the idea came to me, you know what, if you can do this over the Internet, it's going to be so simple for everybody to buy. They can sign on, they can log in, they can buy. They don't have to fly from New York to Los Angeles or from Chicago to Miami. This is going to be easy. And so we started building a platform called HomeBid. And in 1998, we had it finished. We put it on the air, and we were the first to start selling real estate and financial instruments over the Internet.
Well, that is amazing because it's the talk of the town now, and yet you're talking about 12, 13 years ago when you really started it.
Well, a lot of people said it just couldn't be done, but the first auctions we did were huge successes. And they were such huge success, they brought the attention of Chase Manhattan at the time. And so what happened, they came in and made us an offer we really couldn't refuse at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up selling HomeBid to them. They ended up selling it, I think, to the National Realtors Association. And then they ended up selling it to eBay, who then went on selling properties. So, and at this point in time, it's so easy to get into that market. But at that point, we had to start from scratch. We had to figure it out, and we had to invent it. And software and all, ran, I guess, about a little over $7 million at the time to get it all put together. Nowadays, I think you could probably do it for fractions of pennies on the dollar. Yeah. And the technology is so much better today than we were able to do 12 years ago. Well,
very, very good. It's funny because, it's obvious for maybe you and I, but when you listen to the numbers from the NAR, they say that, 97, 95%, whatever the number is, start looking for properties first on the Internet. And so it's an amazing amount of people that are Internet savvy and bidding. But state the obvious for you and I, but why is it so important that you can be at your home and start bidding compared to have to drive to an auction ballroom, which, of course, you and I did years and years ago? Tell me the differences a little bit.
Well, there's huge differences for both the buyers and the sellers. Mm-hmm. In the old days when you and I were running around the country doing this, we'd get a ballroom. We might have a couple of thousand people show up. We had to make all kinds of arrangements for it, and it was expensive.
Yep.
Nowadays, you simply log on, put the properties on the Internet, put them on your website, put the auction software together with it, and that's it. And it's actually more practical to do it that way. I bid on things off the Internet now. I really don't go to auctions that much anymore live, although I love live auctions.
Yep.
It's just easier for me to sit in the office and buy things off the Internet. Mm-hmm. And, as a board member of the NAA, one of the things we were tasked with this year is to look at the futures of the industry. And the future is changing. The industry is changing and trying to keep up with the future at this mm-hmm. point. Mm-hmm. And we did come up with a future idea of how we thought the industry would be, let's say, in 3 years and 5 years down the road. That paper has not been made public yet, but it will be made public, I think, in June or July. And I think you'll see that the Internet is really going to control the largest number of cells. And cells of everything. Mm-hmm. It's going to be over the Internet. 90% of cells will probably be Internet. 10% will probably be live auctions. I hate to see live auctions go by the wayside. They're so much fun.
They are fun.
And people get so excited. I love that. But we have a better mousetrap mm-hmm. now with the Internet.
Well, we do, and technology is amazing. I mean, the interview that you and I are doing is going to be on YouTube. and available, and people click on that, and they'll hear your thoughts about the future, and I love that. Listen, I could talk to you for another hour, and it would be probably the best show we've ever had, to listen to you and your thoughts. But I do have other guests. Tell us how to reach you, because, again, you are a visionary. People may want to know more about your thoughts on the auction future. How can we reach you?
You know, Doug, the best number to reach me, and the best way to remember it is just 1-800-Latham. It's actually 1-800-552-8426. And you know, I'd love to talk to anybody who's interested in new ideas.
Yeah.
Because I love that.
Yep.
And it's also great to talk to you. You know,
Thank
we
you.
don't get to talk that often, being one side of the country and the other side of the country, coast to coast.
Mm-hmm.
But I certainly enjoyed the chat this morning, and I wanted to thank you so much. And what you've added to the auction industry, too. You know, over all these years, I want to thank you for your contribution.
Well, I appreciate it. Larry, you take care. Have a great weekend. And, again, thank you for your call.
Doug, always a pleasure. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Larry Latham. Again, started so many different things. I mentioned that I was involved in a couple of firsts for FDIC. We had the first big auction in Lafayette, Louisiana in 1987, 445 properties. And I was the auction project manager for the first FDIC commercial auction in 1988 over in Tampa, Florida. And also did the first loan auction for the FDIC. I think that was 1988. I'm dating myself. But Larry, again, I'm going to reiterate, first in so many things. First big auctions for Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae and RTC, and so many big auctions, and also the FCC. I mean, he was amazing and is amazing. And now the recent inductee to the National Auctioneers Hall of